Hi friends, welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm here today with Ali, and we are going to discover the true nature of the universe while typing him. And he's somebody I've typed before, but the video got messed up. So I'm going to approach this basically as though I haven't typed him yet. I'm going to try to ask somewhat different questions than I asked last time if I can remember to. But other than that, I'm going to approach it as though I'm typing him from scratch. Probably won't be quite as long as a regular typing, but we will cover the same basic ground. Alright, so if you had to go to a mall, it has all the various stores in the mall that a mall has, and you won a $1,000 shopping spree at the mall. You can't take the money. You have to spend all the $1,000 at the mall.
Okay.
What are you going to spend it on?
Well, I'd if I'm hungry, I'll probably go to the food court. But other than that, in terms of like the stores and everything, I'd definitely go to the sneaker shop and definitely pick up some Jordans or something or whatever I pick out, and then after that, I mean, I'm not too sure. I don't really know too much store. I'll probably get just some designer clothes or something, so
Okay,
that
so
we put $1,000 to use.
alright, so what do you think the advantage of buying nice sneakers and designer clothes is?
They don't really have that much benefits. I guess it's just a matter of I can, and they'd be pretty cool to have,
Okay,
and they make me feel good.
okay, do
So
you think they'd improve your social status or something?
I don't really care about social status though.
Okay. Um, let's say you had to go
hmm
to the Yankee Candle Company with your $1,000 gift certificate, and the only thing you could get was $1,000 worth of candles from the Yankee Candle Company. Would you just turn down the prize, or would you go ahead and get your $1,000 worth of candles?
Um, I turned it down. I don't need candles, especially that much.
Plus, they're very smelly candles. I don't know if you've ever been to that store before.
No, I actually haven't been there before.
Okay. Um, can you talk to me about, uh, let's say you wanted to plan a group trip with some classmates to study tide pools at the coastline, but you had to make the administration at the school go along with this. Can you talk me through your process of how you might deal with that?
So it's a field trip, is what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I first I try and appeal most to the science teacher because that's what it would have the most to do with, and
Other
I
direction.
would
Hold on
I
one
would
second.
basically
No,
okay.
Rachel, when you pull it up and then go that way instead of that way. After you pull it up. There. Okay, sorry about that. I had to fix a little TE bowler problem.
Yeah.
So go ahead and say what you were saying.
I would try and explain how being confined in the classroom all the time is probably not the healthiest thing for the students, and most of the skills learned are more practical. It's how you learn things better. So we should take a break, go out and go to the shore where we can study tides. It also has to do with the unit we're learning, and it'll also be a nice, refreshing break for the students.
Okay,
That's
well, those
the
are all
explain.
very good arguments. Let's see. If there are three bumblebees in a tatter dog and two tatter dogs in every bushwhacker, How many bumblebees are there in a bushwhacker?
So there's two bumblebees and a tatter dog,
There's,
and
there's three bumblebees in a tatter dog and two tatter dogs in a bushwhacker.
a six.
Okay. Um, if Julie and Tom go to town, then Mom will stay home, and the mailman will come over and have a party with her. However, did I say Joe and Bob? We got Joe, Bob, Mary, and the mailman, okay? If Joe and Bob go out, then Mary will stay home alone, and the mailman will come over and have a party with her. If, on the other hand, either Joe or Bob stays home, then Mary will not be alone, and then the mailman will not come over.
Okay.
Now, it is the case that Bob has gotten himself, yesterday, was placed under house arrest a duration of 2 weeks. What can we conclude?
Like, what do you mean by conclude?
Okay.
Like, just anything, or
Well, what can we conclude about the mailman?
well, if Bob is under arrest for like 2 weeks, then Joe will be free to go or stay. Wait, do they have to
No,
be
no.
together? And then
Bob's
they can.
under house arrest for 2 weeks. That means he can't leave his house for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. So that means the mailman won't come for 2 weeks, or at least until Bob is gone.
Okay, fine. Um, can you please? I'm gonna make up the beginning of a story, and I want you to complete the story for me. Okay.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there were three very eager little rabbits, and one was named Abe, the other was named Bob, and the third was named Carl. A, B, and C. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Rabbit A and Rabbit B, Abe and Bob, were down by the lake of the shore one day, chewing on some grass. And Abe said, "Boy, I really love this grass here." And Bob said, "Yeah, it's really good grass. We're lucky rabbits eating this stuff." And Abe said, "Yeah, except there's just one problem. I hate how every time we got good grass, Carl comes over and starts eating some of it. It's like we're the ones who found it. We didn't invite him. He just shows up, and then, as if right on cue, Carl shows up. Hey guys, hey, looks like you found some pretty good grass here." He starts munching on it, and Abe rolls his eyes towards Bob, and Bob says, "Oh, hey Carl, how you doing?" Carl's, I'm good, doing good. Now finish the story for me. I'm gonna turn off my camera for a second. It'll be out back on in a minute.
Okay.
But I'm still listening, so go ahead and finish the story.
Oh, okay. Um. So if I have it correct, they just got done with the grass, and Carl came over, right? And Bob said to Carl, "Hey, what's up?" And Carl said, "He's good." Do I have it right?
Well, the key element is that Abe Abe's complained that he doesn't like it how when he and Bob find grass
Yeah, I
that's
got
good,
that.
Carl comes over and starts eating some of it uninvited,
Yeah.
and then Carl comes over.
Okay. So what happens next is Carl stares at the grass and says, "It's a nice bunch you got today." And then Abe immediately jumps in and says, "Oh no, you are not going to mess with it this time." And Bob joins in and is like, "Yeah, you're not going to mess with it, Carl." And then Carl says, "Fine." And then he walks away. And then Abe and Bob are pretty surprised because that's the first time Carl ever left it. And then they go back to what they're doing. But then Carl, as soon as, well, Abe and Bob need to go to the bathroom. So they go, and then Carl waits for the perfect moment. And then once they're gone, he flanks, like, takes all the grass, eats it, and then he runs away. And then Abe and Bob come out, and they're pretty mad, and they're like, well, what did we expect? The end.
Okay, good. Um, I'm now going to uh, ask you some remote associations tests questions.
Okay.
And if you, for the viewers, and if you don't remember, the remote associations test is one in which you're given three words that all link to another word, and then you're asked to say what word links them. For example, cottage, Swiss, and cake. The answer is cheese because it's cottage cheese, Swiss cheese, and cheesecake. So it can go in front or in back, and it will tell you. And then if you find one thing that goes with all three, then that's the answer. Okay, so let's start off. I'm gonna go through and give them about 6 of these very easy ones, or it's about 6 of each ideally, because that's a good way to tell how he scores against other intuitives and or sensors that I've typed before. Typically, this is a test that intuitives do well on or better on, and sensors do worse on. So, but it's not universal, but it basically it's an NI test. Okay, so of the very easy ones. Okay, rocking wheel high.
Rocking as in like shaking, right?
As in whatever. Rocking wheel high.
Um, Rocking wheel high. Ferris wheel.
Okay, the answer is chair. Rocking chair, wheelchair, high chair.
Oh, okay.
Next one. Fountain, baking, pop.
Baking soda.
Yes, soda is the answer. But remember, the answer has to go with all of them. In this case, it does. Soda fountain, baking soda, and soda pop.
Okay.
Here's another very easy one. Cracker, fly, fighter.
Firecracker.
Fire, correct. Okay. Let me yeah, I don't need to save that. Okay, so I'm gonna keep track of your score here. So far, you are 2 out of 3 for the very easiest. Okay. Next one. Cane, Daddy, Plum.
Cane Daddy Plum. Cane Daddy Plum. This one's tough.
It's sugar. Sugar cane, sugar plum, sugar daddy. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Next one is night wrist stop.
Night wrist. Watch.
Watch is correct. Okay, one more of the very easies, and then we'll move on to the easies.
Okay.
Sleeping bean trash. Sleeping bean trash.
Sleeping being trash. Tired?
No, the answer is bag. Sleeping bag, bean bag, trash bag.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you got 3 out of 6 of the very easies. All right, now let's go to the easies. I'm going to give you 6 of the easies as well. All right, so mouse, bear, sand.
Mouse.
Mouse,
So
bear,
bears.
mouse, bear, sand, and it's BEAR.
Okay.
Mouse, bear, sand.
Okay. Um. I don't know.
I don't know either. All right, I can figure that one out either. Let's see.
I don't know.
Trap, mouse trap, bear trap, sand trap. Okay.
So
So let's go on to the next one. The next easy one. Um. Hound pressure shot. Hound pressure shot.
Pound pressure shot. Pound pressure shot.
It's blood.
Blood out.
Bloodhound, blood pressure, bloodshot.
Oh, okay.
We do another one here. Okay, so how about print, berry, and bird? Print, berry, and bird.
And berry bird. Paper.
The answer is blue. Okay,
Blueprint. Oh,
blueprint.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, blueberry and bluebird. Okay, how about um, fish, mine, rush?
Gold.
Gold is correct. Okay, how about safety cushion point?
Pin.
Correct. And how about river note account?
Bank.
Correct.
It's like
Okay.
I'm starting to get how it works because originally I thought it was like 3 words equal one or something, but now I get it's like one word is used in three. So
Okay, so you got 3 of 6 very easy, 3 of 6 easy. Now we're going to go to medium. So you did the same on very easy and on easy. Let's go to medium.
okay.
Light birthday stick.
Light birthday stick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't think of it
And
either. Do you give up?
I don't know. Happy? I don't know.
Candle. Candlelight, birthday candle, candlestick.
Oh,
Okay, here's another medium.
it makes so much sense once you hear them.
Yeah, when you hear it, right? Palm, shoe, house.
Shoot, shoot, palm house. Um, was it a hand, uh, shoe, hand, house?
Palm, shoe, house.
Okay. Hmm.
Palm, shoe, house. Give up?
Uh, safety? I don't know.
Tree. Palm tree, shoe tree, house tree.
Oh,
You don't hear the word shoe tree very often, but it is a word.
yeah.
Okay. Wheel, hand, shopping.
Wheel, hand, shopping. Okay. Let's see. Wheel, hand, shopping. You said wheel, hand, job, right?
No, I said wheel, hand, shopping.
Oh, okay. Wheel, hand, shopping. Okay. Wheel, hand, shopping. Um.
Okay, the answer is cart.
Oh, okay.
All right, we got. Let's see. I think we have two more mediums to do, or three. Like this is good data gathering. One, two, three. We got three more mediums to do. How about shine, beam, struck?
Lightning.
Nope. I think it's moon. Moon is
Oh,
the answer.
moonstruck.
Moonshine, moonbeam, and moonstruck. Okay.
Moonstruck. I
How
haven't
about
really heard that one.
peach, arm, and tar?
Uh, peach, tar, and what's the
Arm. Peach,
arm?
arm, and tar.
Peach, arm, tar. Um, I don't know.
Pit.
Wait, I had a feeling about that one, but I'm like pit arm.
Armpit.
Wait, oh, okay, switch it. Okay,
You can go in front or behind.
yeah, okay. I
Okay.
had that answer. I don't know why I didn't
Okay.
say it.
Uh, fox, man, peep.
Fox, man, peep. Um, um, I don't know this one either.
Hole. Foxhole, manhole, peephole. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just ask a couple of, let's say, three hards and a few very hards. See if you can get one of those as well. All right.
Okay.
How about right cat carbon?
Like, which right is it?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Cat and carbon.
Got carbon right. Cat carbon right. Um, uh, titanium.
Copy. Copy is the answer.
Oh yeah. Okay.
How about cross rain tie? TIE.
Um, road.
It's bow. Crossbow, rainbow, bow
Oh,
tie. How about chamber mask natural?
chamber muscle. Gas.
Correct. Okay, so we got 1 out of 3 of the hard ones. Now, let me at least just do a couple of very hard ones. Let's do 3 of them as well. So then we'll be done with this, okay? And it's stretching on for a while, but it's kind of important to get extensive data on this because individual ones you may get wrong because, it's like I've noticed that you can go in spurts, so to speak, in these things. Okay, so here's a very hard one. Trip, house, goal. Trip, house, goal.
Trip, house, goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know this one.
Field. Field trip, field house, field goal.
Oh, okay.
All right. How about fox? I mean, sorry, not fox. Fork, dark man. Fork, dark man.
Hmm. Road.
Let's see. Pitch. Pitchfork, pitch
Oh,
dark, pitch man. Okay. How
okay.
about wise work tower? Wise work tower.
My worked.
Wise work tower.
Sage.
Clock. Clockwise,
Okay.
clockwork, clock tower. All right. So that's the very hard ones. Let's just throw out one more bonus, see if you can grab it. Cry front ship.
Mm, battle.
Yes, I think that's right. Let me check.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't have that one. Okay, so let me turn this camera back on. All right. So as far as results on that remote test go, I'm still figuring out how strongly that correlates with intuition, where and why, and so forth. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you letting me gather the data,
that's
and
good.
we'll see. I think the audience will maybe chime in on how well they performed on that as well. So there may also be other factors such as age that may play some factor in that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Regardless, I don't know enough about how this test correlates yet to say for sure what your scores mean. So the next thing I'd like to do is ask you some values based questions. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna say when these two values conflict, which one do you prefer?
Okay.
And if you want me to give an example, you can ask me to give an example. If you feel as though you don't need an example, you can just give me the answer. Okay?
Mhm.
Which do you prefer when they conflict? Fairness and truth.
I definitely feel like truth is more important.
Okay?
I'd say.
What about efficiency and grace?
Um, 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry about that. My little brother needed something.
No
So,
problem.
all right. So, if for efficiency and creativity, I'd say, um, I mean, they're both very important. I'd say maybe creativity a little more. Now, I do think efficiency is really important. I may not be the best at it, but I do think it's pretty important. And like, should I explain the reasoning or
Yeah.
okay? So with efficiency, it's like you could be someone who's like uncreative and just following the system. You could be really efficient in it, but that's just it. You're just another person in the system. It's like you could go to school, not have much creativity or even anything
So
else
how
other
do you
than
define the word grace in this context then?
oh, you said grace. Okay, I was thinking about the other question you asked me.
What was the other question? I'm sorry, I got slightly distracted looking for other questions that I wanted to ask you while you were gone, but
I
then you
was
came back really
remembering the
fast.
one you told me in our last session, which was creativity and efficiency,
Oh, okay. Well, this one
and
I'm
I
asking
switched it up.
efficiency and grace.
Well, then definitely efficiency.
Okay, how would you define grace?
Grace is like, I mean, grace to me, I see it as just biasism and focusing on less important things like relationships and such instead of actually getting stuff done, just gets in the way.
Okay. So, what's one indicator in your mind that you would say somebody's overly focused on grace at the expense of effectiveness in the world? What's something else that might correlate with that?
Hmm. Like in terms of like what they do or traits.
Yeah, if you were going to go out in the world and try to spot somebody who's
Okay.
overemphasizing grace at the expense of effectiveness, what would you look for as cues?
Um, Probably someone who's just with people a lot, or tends to be the one um, taking or giving advice to people in the group, or you know what I mean, probably has a humanities major or something like that, or you know.
Yeah, sure. Um, a humanities major is,
Well,
okay.
it's not certain, but
Okay, so, uh, now, let's say we would ask you which value conflicts, which one do you prefer if it was between authenticity and um, reliability.
Hmm. I feel like, well, I don't know actually. Um, that was kind of tough.
How about familiarity instead of reliability? Familiarity and authenticity.
Familiarity and authenticity. I say that while I really do value my familiarity, but it's also like I think being reliable is more important, because if you're just staying just where you're comfortable, then you'll kind of stagnate and get stuck in a rut. You know what I mean?
Okay, but what about if instead of uh, reliability versus familiarity, it was familiarity versus authenticity?
Hmm. Wait, sorry, what did you say? I forgot.
Okay, well, I mean, in fact, I said familiarity versus authenticity, but let me say instead familiarity versus um, strength of. Okay, it's like basically, do you prefer that which is familiar and comfortable to you, or are you susceptible to the arrival of something that's new that seems better? How willing are you to replace the familiar and reliable and comfortable with the something that promises to have a higher ceiling to possibly have more positive impacts, which seems maybe even likely to, but is untried?
Hmm. It really depends, because the thing that's like new or promising or something, it could be like, could be a major change like houses or something, then I would like to stay what I'm comfortable with. But if it's something that has to do with, um, like let's say it's a career opportunity or something like that, then yes, I jump on that basically. So for
Um,
me, it depends, I guess. I'd probably say I try the new thing.
okay, so let's pretend now that you're my life coach, okay?
Okay.
And I say, Ali, I'm here for our session, and this is what I want to tell you. I am troubled. I'm troubled because I feel like I should be having sort of scheduling my time each day, basically doing some active time management. Um, and yet, I just don't know how, if I can really follow through on whatever it is I schedule and how realistic my schedules are going to be. And so I haven't started scheduling myself yet. I don't know what to do. What should I do with my time management issue here?
I'd say that the best thing to do is to take your overall problem and probably, break it into steps. Like you could do this at this time, and then you could take another section of it and place it at this time, and then you do it at those given times. And that'll make it a lot more digestible, and you can fit these small sections in, whenever you need.
Do I need to clearly understand the whole problem first?
Um, yes, I do feel like you need to understand what's going on before you do things, because you might miss something.
Okay, so right now the only thing I'm sure of is that I have un this unexplained basically need to schedule my time, feeling like I ought to schedule my time and then follow that schedule. But I don't have any other justification for it, and I can't tell, like, what to prioritize or something. So, so what does that tell you about the big picture thing that can allow me to understand the whole so that I can begin to break it into parts?
I'd say that, like, what you mean is why should we do it?
Yes, I guess that's what I'm saying. When you say understand the whole first before you can break it into parts,
Okay.
I'm saying what is the whole? And I guess I wasn't saying that. The first thing I was saying was basically the whole is why, the parts are how. But I'm not. I don't. I didn't mean to, or ought not have asserted that. I should have said what comprises understanding the whole.
I'd say that it's understanding each part and what it will do, because if you just immediately just start doing it, you might miss this detail and that might disrupt everything you're doing, you know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
but if I have to understand the whole before I can break it into parts, and I have to understand the parts before I can understand the whole, aren't I prohibited inherently from ever understanding it all?
um, I mean, you can go either way. Like, you can understand just what the problem is and then try and break it down, or you can look at each part of it, understand it, and then put it together.
Okay, so how do I understand what the problem is?
Uh, the way you do it is you just analyze it for what it is and what it could do. Like, analyze it step by step is what I how I solve or understand the whole.
Analyze it step by step. Okay, well, all right. So, I let's talk a little bit about your type. I typed you in the last time we talked as INTJ, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have found nothing to contradict my earlier typing
Really?
at all. I still think you're INTJ,
But
and
but wouldn't an INTJ do a lot better on the associative test?
probably. So this is the thing. Um, that this remote associations test. This is something new I've begun integrating in the course of the last month or two.
Okay.
It seems quite promising. It still seems quite promising
Yeah.
for testing the difference between intuitives, testing the levels of a person's intuition.
Yeah.
However, I've noticed that some of the words in the thing are words that used to be in fairly common parlance, but people don't really say it all anymore. Like, for example, field house. Do you is there anything at your school called a field house?
No.
No,
Doesn't.
that's an old term, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be unlikely you're going to get that one, and so forth. So I do think that age is relevant to this, not because somehow you get better this as you get older, but
Yeah.
you have access to a larger pool of words of when, like that were used in common parlance before that no longer are, that you can get those ones correct. I also think you need to probably to do the remote association test justice. You'd have to have somebody do the whole thing, and then be able to look at the results. Therefore, thereafter, because there are plenty of times I've looked at it so many times now that I know the answers, but there were plenty of times at the beginning when I didn't know the answers when I'd get very easy ones wrong too. I wouldn't be able to get it. It'd be a very easy one, and I'm just like, I don't know, and
Really?
and the same for all the levels. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is correct. Number one, that your remote associations test results are contraindicative of INTJ based on what I currently am thinking about that remote associations test. But number two, I've never placed very much faith in it, like not a lot of faith in it, because I haven't used it for very long. So
Yeah.
I don't have the data to make sure that it's how reliable it is.
For
So
me, it was sometimes like sometimes the answer would just like pop up, and sometimes it was blank. It was like mixed, I guess.
okay, the thing is, your answers about the values and such are they just scream FE polar. So
Okay.
the one thing I want to do here is try to make sure I differentiate between ISTJ and INTJ, because I bet there are going to be a fair number of viewers who say ISTJ when they, if,
Maybe.
as a possible counter type. People like to disagree with me, okay? So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. There'll be a subset of the commenters who come in to the video asking themselves at the beginning of it, let's see how I'm going to disagree with Eric this time,
Yeah.
basically. So ISTJ might be a popular route to go for such parties, and I want to make an effort to distinguish. ISTJs have SI as a dominant function. INTJs have NI as a dominant function. They both have TE as a tool function. They both have FI as a tertiary function. And INTJs have SE as a fourth function, whereas ISTJs have NE as the fourth function. All right. Another thing to note is they have the same polar, so we can't check it there. All right, so let's look towards extroverted sensing. When
Okay.
you are outside doing stuff, what might
hmm
you be doing?
I'll usually be, uh, if I'm not just thinking or whatever, just in my head, if I'm trying to be like present, then I'll just be observing what's around me and such. Like, I see this, I see that, and stuff like that. And what I'm doing right now, I guess. I mean, my mind does do this a lot to where it plays back stuff I've seen and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, for example, if I've seen this thing before, then my mind will play it. But at the same time, I try, like, in terms of the sensory, I try and be like, okay, this is happening. I'm doing this right now. I see that. Stuff like that.
All right. Um, let's ask. Let me see if I can figure out a way to address this thing.
Okay.
What what is a way that you could establish that um, that what is a way that you could establish that um, driving too fast
Yeah.
is a bad idea?
Like, like what I think of it, or
A way to establish, meaning to argue or try to convince somebody that driving too fast is a bad idea.
like convincing a singular person and not like most people. You mean, right?
Sure. Like, let's say your friend Susie
Okay.
drives too fast, and you have decided to try to convince her to not drive too fast. I'll be Susie. You go.
Okay. Um, Driving fast is very dangerous and it could lead to disastrous consequences
How do you know? You don't even
because
drive.
as you see here, um 95% of deaths or accident are caused by speed driving.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. Listen, who knows best about driving? It's the person with the most experience. Now, I have more experience about driving than you, so that means that I must know better about driving. And I'm saying driving too fast is fine. So why should I think that driving too fast is not fine?
Because the people who crashed or had an accident are also very experienced drivers, and how I know this is that there are varying ages, and different ages, different.
Okay, but listen. How about this? Let's listen to this.
Okay.
Um, Yesterday morning, my mom drove way too fast to school. I was fine. Yesterday afternoon, my dad drove me home way too fast. I was fine. This morning, my Aunt Judy drove me to school way too fast. I was fine. And this afternoon, my Uncle Bob drove me back home way too fast and I was fine. I've got all these examples of being just fine when people drive too fast. So, I mean, obviously, driving too fast is fine, right?
No, because people who speed drive are 3 times as likely to crash because it's caused by late reaction time, and you never know, what if someone just cuts in front of you or something and you're speeding along, then you'll immediately crash into the person, rather than if you were driving slow, then you would have been able to react in time, and then the crash would have never happened.
Well, okay, but listen, 3 times 0 is still 0. So, since you didn't tell me how much it was 3 times. So I'm gonna assume it's 0. So it's still the same, right?
No, because
Because it's
if
not 0.
someone, well, yeah.
Okay. Fine. So what's more important for a person to be useful, to get utility from others, to um, or to benefit from the utility they provide?
Okay, so being useful to someone or something, or
Getting utility out of other
out
people,
of other people,
or
and
benefiting from the utility that you provide to other people.
like which one I do or which one I think is important.
Yeah, which is important.
Okay. Um, I think I it's either the second or third one.
Okay. Which dairy product do you think best represents the emotion of melancholy?
I'd say that it's the cherry.
Hmm. And which, on the other hand, a cherry's not a dairy product.
Oh, I forgot what you said. I don't know what happened there.
I like that answer though. I like when I ask a question, which dairy product best represents the emotion of
Oh, my mind
melancholy?
flips stuff sometimes.
You answered
Kind
with
of annoying.
cherry. Okay, but let's say cherry were a possible answer. What about cherries do you find melancholy?
Which part of cherries?
Why do you associate the cherry
Oh,
with melancholy?
because they're small. They're not noticed that much. You never know how they could be feeling. They're always overshadowed by the apple, who people notice more and give attention to. And this leaves the cherry feeling like they're not cared for, which leads to depression and such like that. And people won't really care much because they'll just be eating the big apple and ignoring the small cherry.
Okay, and which whatever do you think represents courage?
Hmm. I'd say it's the well, in terms of like things or concepts or what?
Well,
What
we
do you
could
mean?
stay in the produce section, or you could move over to the
Okay,
dairy section. We're
I'd
moving through the
say
supermarket here.
it's two options. I'd say it's the orange.
Okay. What
Be-
about the orange is courageous?
like that is like a thing of its own, or like
Okay.
what do you mean?
Like, I'm asking you, what do you think about the orange? Like, why do you say orange for courage?
Oh, I'd say because, well, first of all, it runs the risk of being confused and maligned for being the same name as a certain color and for being it too. And another reason is it also runs the risk of shooting people in the eye or something, or they chop down on its seed, but it still makes the courageous effort to go out there and claim itself to be a fruit and to be given to others.
That's a fantastic reason. Okay, I have to ask a couple of other emotions. Let's stay in the produce section. Um, which one represents danger?
I'd say that would be like food or drink, like
Yeah,
either
you
kind.
could move around the supermarket a bit. You don't have to stay in the produce section.
Okay.
Whatever jumps to mind, whatever's your thing.
I'd say it would be milk
Why does danger and milk? What's the link?
because first, it's not super known how they got the milk. That could be pretty dangerous because whatever could be in there, but maybe it's well made. For other reasons, you have to immediately just hospitalize it or put it in the fridge. Otherwise, it'll go bad quickly. And if it goes bad, then that could lead to disastrous consequences such as food poisoning or like sickness or something like that.
Sure.
And it happens quick. So
Okay. Which thing in the food section represents hope?
I would say it's eggs.
Eggs. Okay. What's the link?
And I would say it's because, from a pure like statistical health perspective, eggs are definitely one of the absolute highest, if not like the top three healthiest items in the entire store, which will bring huge benefit to the person who eats it and will lead to, hopes and dreams for the future because they are healthy and
Okay.
right.
I got one more of these. Last one. Flirty. Food or beverage that non-alcohol that says flirty.
Yeah. Yeah, you thought I was gonna say red wine or something.
Yeah, because that's too obvious to like. I want you
Yeah.
to go with something a little bit more obscure. That's good intuition about my thought
Yeah.
pattern there.
Chocolate would also be too obvious.
Yeah. Okay, so eliminate anything that might associate with Valentine's Day right off the
Yeah.
bat. In fact, let's just go with food that comes in cans. You're limited to that. Canned goods. And you're going for flirty. Which which
I'd
canned good
say
says flirty?
canned tomatoes.
Okay? The link being Italian dinner?
It could be because of that. It could also be the alluring red color. It could be the scent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the arousing steam coming out.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, that was very interesting. I've never asked those questions before. Your answers were
Yeah, I noticed
fantastic.
them.
I
Yeah, I
really,
never saw that in any of the other ones.
yeah, interesting. I'll try to ask that question from now on. I'm curious what
Yeah.
so I don't, because I've never asked it before. I really don't know what the uh, your answers mean, except to say, to
Yeah.
me, they say intuitive. You are you are intuiting out
Yeah.
a holistic set of meanings to explain your link, even though there's nothing concrete about the link. In other words, no
Yeah.
canned goods are flirty, or
Yeah.
coquettish. Which of these canned goods is most coquettish is a
And
ridiculous
I don't
question.
I also don't really think, well, I'm not excluding all, but I don't think it like, I mean, I've been well immersed in like typology for like 2 years, just studying, asking, going around, poking, asking around other people and studying and watching videos. I don't think nice TJ could keep that up for 2 years.
Oh,
Again,
right,
not
I
all,
forgot.
but most.
I forgot. That's what we were testing. ISTJ
Oh,
versus INTJ.
oh,
I mean, I don't think you're an. I personally, I'm not considered. I know what fourth slot NE looks like. It doesn't look like you. A fourth
okay.
slot NE um, is will. I've typed enough ISTJs
Yes.
to know how they, if they don't want to be an ISTJ, how they game it. And the
Hmm.
way they game it is by proving they're ISTJ over and over again, by giving me specific examples that they think contradict general rules
Right.
that apply to ISTJs. And
Hmm.
of course, because they never argue it the other way around, that's one way in which I know they're SI DOMs.
Yeah.
So
I
you've
mean,
not
me
done any of
personally, I'm
that.
not really trying to game anything. I'm just being honest
I,
because I'm open to any type, basically.
I know, and what I'm doing here is sort of meta defense on the fact that because you are intuitive and you study typology, you could game it. Now,
Yeah,
right
I,
off the bat, that tells you a lot about what type you are. So it's
yeah,
one of the reasons why typology is less susceptible to gaming than other things because
yes,
your power at gaming it links strongly to type, and there's only maybe
yeah,
four types that can really successfully do it anyway, especially with me.
yeah. And it's like on tests or anything, if anyone asks a question, like even sometimes now it's like, okay, I immediately know which function this is like asking for and stuff like that. And I could like give an answer, but I wouldn't do that. I'm trying to
Right,
be honest.
sure. Um, just because I want to give the people watching this video a little bit more data, I want to ask a couple genealogy questions, give you a chance to answer a couple genealogy questions, a couple more short deductive reasoning problems, and I'm going to do an the SI test on you, which is to say I'm going to do a series of events from my morning and then ask you to do the equivalent from your morning. Okay.
Okay.
So first the TI questions. Let's do a couple of genealogy ones quick, and we'll show where you are with that. Okay. So can you please tell me my mother's husband's father's wife's only son in relation to me?
Uncle.
No. Mother's father's. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Mother's husband's father's only son is my father
oh yeah,
because only son. Okay.
yeah.
um, if I said other son, you'd be right. How about another one? Who is my sister's mother's sister's son in relation to me?
Cousin.
Correct. Who is my mother's husband's father's wife's only daughter-in-law in relation to me?
Daughter. That would be um aunt-in-law.
No, it's your
Well,
mom.
my
It's your
my mom.
mom. Your
Yeah.
mom. Okay. Let me try another one. Who is my father's brother's daughter's brother's mother in relation to me?
Aunt.
Correct. Okay, now let's do some of the another kind of deductive reasoning
And
problem.
also for just as a note, for the previous one before this one, I was thinking like, is there such thing as a mother-in-law? But
Yes, there
apparently,
is. Okay,
yeah,
so that's one of the problems with genealogy. Really shouldn't do the in-laws. I should just keep it clean.
yeah,
I was trying to stretch out the what it was test mission creep. Anyway,
yeah.
now let's do the other kind of problem. If all dogs enjoy sausages, and some things that enjoy sausages also enjoy chicken breasts, then do some dogs enjoy chicken breasts necessarily?
No, because all dogs, well, actually they can. Yes, they can because
Okay, so let me repeat the question. All
okay.
dogs like sausages, and some things that like sausages also like chicken breasts. Is it necessarily the case that some dogs like chicken breasts?
No, it's not necessarily the case.
Okay. If only Egyptians build pyramids and um, Bobby is an Egyptian, can we conclude that he builds a pyramid?
Um, no.
Okay. Um, if no blackbirds eat banana cream pie, and that bird does not eat banana cream pie, can we conclude that that bird is a blackbird?
So mm,
No,
no blackbirds
no
eat.
blackbirds eat banana cream pie. That bird does not eat banana cream pie. Can we conclude that therefore that bird is a blackbird?
Okay, I'd say that okay. No blackbirds eat, and this bird eats.
No, no blackbirds eat banana cream pie.
No blackbirds eat it. Okay, so no
That
black.
bird does not eat banana cream pie. Can we conclude therefore that bird is a blackbird?
No.
Okay. So you got all that stuff correct. Um, I would direct the viewer's attention to not the correctness, but rather the speed and nativeness to which he has his relationship with TI. This is consistent with fifth slot TI. Correct, but not native in the way that it would be for an INTP or an ENTP. And or ISTP or ESTP, but they are less like INTPs and ENTPs do well on all the different kinds of DRPs or deductive reasoning problems, and STPs and ESTPs do just as well on about a half or 2/3 of them, and then the ones that are more memory intensive, they don't do as well on. For your ignoring function, like Ollie here, the it's it's correct, it's solid, and it's and getting things right, but it's not as fast and as fluid as it is for the people who have it on the front stack. Okay, now the last thing I said I wanted to do was the SI thing, so I'm going to do the thing as an example, and then you do the equivalent for yourself. Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
This morning I woke up on the later side, 7:30 or 8 a.m. I don't remember exactly, and then I believe this morning was kind of hazy for me actually.
Yeah.
Let me
And you do
start.
have
Let me start a
Easter eggs
little
then.
later in the day. Okay, let me start a little later in the day. So, at some point this morning, Rachel and I watched a movie called Drew Barrymore movie called freaking I don't even remember what it's called. It's got Drew Barrymore in it and that dude.
Going the distance.
Going the Distance. Okay, and we watched that movie, and then after we watched that movie, we ate some burritos, like microwaved them, and then
Mm-hmm.
after we microwaved the burritos and ate them and had some drinks, then I went in to take a nap, and I slept quite a well, and I had to get up at like 5:35 or something because I mean 4:35 because I had to meet with you, and I was super tired though, so I asked you to let me push back 15 minutes because I hadn't woken up yet and I wanted to make a cup of coffee and stuff. And that brings us to here. Can you do the same for yourself?
Okay, let me try. I woke up at 12:30 p.m. and then I got out and I think I went to the living room, and then after that, um, I I think after going back to my room, then I came back out and I ate some food, and then after that, um, I went to do something outside, like we live in a more like farmy area. Like my dad's house is more farmy, so I had to go feed the chicken something, and then after that, I hmm, it's like
Okay, that's good enough. So
okay,
what I'd like to draw the viewer's attention to is this is what it sounds like when you're talking about eighth slot, potentially fourth slot. Eight and four look kind of similar. Eight can very well do this thing that I'm testing. If he were an ENTJ or an ENFJ, he'd be unable to do this. ENFJ might make an attempt at faking it. Um, but so this is consistent with eighth slot SI, and he's not an INFJ, so that makes him an INTJ. Anyway, there might still be people who disagree, but
yeah, I'll be reading.
I am going to give this a my 100% check mark plus. If you get audited by the Typology IRS, I will be there to explain to them that no, you are an INTJ. Okay,
There's only a few concerns though.
go ahead.
It's like I do share this with NI where it's like I pretty much have my later like life planned out, but it's also like isn't NI like you sometimes just intuitively just know things? Like that doesn't happen all the time. Like you know what I mean? Like the report just having answers pop up if they're doing something like take a shower or something, or is that stereotypes?
Okay, so the thing to remember about NI is it's a frame that goes along with the tool, which is TE, which means this. You go through the world trying to understand things holistically and then break them into parts as a way of solving them. It's
Okay.
what you described to me as advice or something like that. I don't remember the question, but um, the with that it just means introverted intuition is a receive function in the sense that because you're a TE interfacer, you assume as you go into things in life that you will have to adjust as realities adjust within the dynamic system. So let's say you were to go to um, fix a refrigerator or something, which may or may not be within your wheelhouse at all. But at least what you do when you went to address it is you'd understand that um, there's only so much you can do to fix it or to address its brokenness without going there and looking at it, right? That once you do go in there and look at it, you're going to try to figure out what the whole problem is and then what the steps are to remedy the problem. Okay, is the whole problem related to the electricity? Is it related to the coolant stuff in there? Is it related to
I
the
do think like that.
yeah? So that's what makes you an NITE person.
Okay.
There are no like people talk about that kind of epiphany thing as being an NI. It's not incorrect. Having a holistic notion sort of hit you out of the blue is really just the phenomenon of
Like for me it can happen while I'm focusing on the thing, but if I'm just doing something else just randomly it doesn't really happen.
well, the thing is, it's the phenomenon of the poop of the NE that's already been digested. So you've moved through the world, you've brought in all this data, you haven't made any decision about it, nor have you deliberated about it. You're just letting it sit there and percolate. Introverted intuition means you take that approach and you wait for your intuition to put all the pieces. When enough pieces fall into place, your intuition puts it together to a whole, collapses it down, and says, Okay, now I have a clear understanding of this thing, so I can approach it from a ordinal standpoint. That is, say, breaking it into parts or
Okay.
steps. Okay?
So it's also like it can't really happen if there isn't enough pieces or you haven't
Yeah,
drawn them.
you have to draw from the world.
And that's where
Most,
SC is or something. It
at,
collects data.
yeah, well, more specifically though, for you, because you're an NI dom, it's collecting extroverted intuition data. You look
Okay.
to the external world for extroverted intuition. Why? Because you ignore your own extroverted intuition. In order to be focused on what the whole is and the correct determinant thing is, you have to ignore other possibilities that aren't correct and determinate. Now, for me, in order to come up with possibilities, I have to ignore what is correct and determinate. If I want to come up with 10 different ways to meow, if I hit the best way in moment 3, then I just have to keep going because I have 7 more to go. So I have to ignore what's right until after I'm done extrovertedly intuiting. For you, you have plenty of access to extroverted intuition in the world. Things like these YouTube channels you watch, articles you read on the internet, conversations you have with people, and so forth. And all you have to do is have those experiences, let that data percolate in your head, sort of, and without any kind of willful attention, and it will help you to build up your NI set of knowledge of how, universal truths about the world or whatever. So it doesn't mean that you are suddenly having magical intuition moments all the time. It's deeper than that. It means your fundamental frame is one of an intuitive, and you look to collapse things into singular meanings and to use those meanings for usefulness with your tool function.
I always wanted this to be cleared up, but it's like, how does TI thinking differ from NI thinking? Like, I know that I'm probably not having it, but I just want to know, like, how would TI think about stuff from
Okay,
NI,
well,
like versus NI?
TI is about parsing the nodes, and NI is about which nodes are worth parsing. So you could think of it like this: if we were playing a game where
Okay.
there were 8 routes that could either be correct or incorrect, but it was also the case that each of the routes had a progressive number of points. So one of the routes was 1 point, one was 2, one was 3, one was 4, one was 5, one was 6, one was 7, one was 8. Number 8 was worth 8 points. And, the ones all combined before were worth more than 8 points. Let's say number 8 was worth 16 points. And then 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. That was the total number of the other points, okay? So the TI is something that says, I will get each of these things right. And I will get it right because I will figure out the I will figure out whether it's right quickly. And we don't know which one is number 8 and which one's number 1. Okay, they're random. So and they're all equally difficult. But there might be a way to figure out which one's worth 8 points and which one's worth 1 point. So the TI thinker will dive into solving these things. The NITE thinker will foremost say, how can I determine which one's which one's worth 16 points? And as soon as that one's done, the game's over. So I'm going to solve that one first and win that way. Okay.
Okay.
Another way to think about it is this: an NI user will know that when it comes to aesthetics, say music or ideas, even, or a lot of stuff in life, that it's there that it is objectively so that one song, for example, is better than another song. However, they'll acknowledge perhaps that they can't prove that. A TI approaching person will say that's subjective because it's irreducible. An NI person operates under the principle that an engine works because of a complex interaction of each of these parts operating precisely together. So a car might go 100 miles an hour. taking out one piston doesn't make it go 80 miles an hour. It makes it go not at all. You need every part all working together, and then the whole comes together and makes the car run. When you try to say, well, give me the deductive reasoning behind why it runs, well, it's all interlinked, and you can't. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. NI is about things where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. TI is about things where the whole is equal to the sum of the parts.
Okay.
Another way to look at it is TI users tend to think in terms of what is not correct, and TE users tend to think in terms of what will work and will not work. So, for example, the way it plays out is this: TI users say, FI users say, we have a big problem. We have to solve something. We have to do something about it. And TE users go, well, we could do this. And TI users go, the fuck we can. That's wrong because of yum, 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 yum. And then FE users go, guys, surely we can compromise. And the TE users go, we're down to compromise. And the TI users go, fuck no, the whole thing is a principled objection. And the FI users go, you hate people and everything and are FI users.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense.
I
guess the reason I tend to relate to both is probably because INTJs have like 6 TI, so they're gonna be better at it than most types, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're not
way.
ignoring your 6 slot. It's demonstrative, right? Demonstrative
Okay.
TI is easy enough to see it working, and it can be quite effective.
It's not like
but
what you're always defaultly in, but you can do it better than most other types.
Right.
I think.
And then when it comes to the extroverted intuition, if a circumstance directly calls for it, you will produce as much extroverted intuition as is required to resolve what's called for, as you did with my supermarket question. Those answers showed a great ability to produce extroverted intuition on the spot in a very introverted intuition kind of a way, which is it was a determinate and complete answer that was not open-ended at all.
It's like it considered any possibilities, but in the end, I did give like one NI probability.
Right. Well, I mean, the point is you didn't consider all the any possibilities. You actually did extroverted intuition. But because it's an ignoring function for you, you think of it as sort of it's still functioning within the frame of NI, that you're trying to know about any possibilities that exist independent of you. But of course, you're producing them yourself. That's where then any possibilities are coming from. So that's a good example of how fifth slot ignoring extroverted intuition might play out. Good, and sort of, in a sense, surprised that somebody asked. There's that kind of element to it too. Mm-hmm. You also saw in him the pretty clear indications of FE forward.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to wrap this up because I got another client coming up in 20 minutes. Yeah. And thank you very much for making this video with me. I'm going to publish it right now, and we'll see what everybody in the comments thinks. But I think by the time they watch this whole thing, I don't think there are going to be many people who disagree. You're an INTJ.
Yeah. All right. Well, it feels good to come to a conclusion. All right, bye.
Cool. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.